Good evening and welcome to the Chrissy B Show. And I think tonight's show is going to be very interesting for everyone because I'm sure everyone can relate to this topic. Are you being used? So have you ever been used by a partner, a friend, a work colleague or someone else? Did you know what was going on? Or were you oblivious to what was happening? How did you feel about it? So on tonight's show, we're going to be discussing situations where people are being used or taken advantage of and how to cope and recover with as little drama, destruction and loss as possible. So this is your show as well. It's live, so you can share your experiences by calling 020-7686-6300. And you can also post on Facebook, The Chrissy B Show. Now, my guests tonight include counsellor Hans Meijer. I think I pronounced it correctly, did I?
You did.
Kind of.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And business counsellor Anton Smith. And we also have a couple of actors to demonstrate different scenarios of people being used and what to do about it. So don't forget, please do get in touch with us because we'd like to hear your opinion as well. So good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. So you both have a wealth of experience in counselling, obviously, and helping people through difficult situations. So you're a business counsellor mainly,
yeah.
Anton?
At present, yes.
At present, okay.
I spent 30 years in the business world, either running my own businesses or working for corporates. I've seen lots of people being used. I've been used myself. I've even used people. And then I qualified as a counsellor and then moved into business counselling.
I love your honesty, by the way.
Oh, okay,
That's
thank you.
lovely.
No.
Okay.
Well, I think if there's no point in sitting here and being an expert and rising above the audience or anybody else in this room, because that sets me apart, and I'm not. I'm just a normal human being who's had my experiences in whichever way I've had them, and you know, that's the way it is. So,
okay. So I'll be asking you maybe some questions about your personal experiences as well, because I'm sure the viewers would love to know as well, and I'm interested too. And Hans, which you deal with mainly?
Well, for the last few years I've been a counsellor and I deal with all sorts of issues that people feel they get stuck in. They sort of feel that life is not going the way that they would want it to go. Something is getting in the way. And sometimes it just helps to talk with somebody and to see if you can look at things from a different perspective.
Okay.
And that's what we do.
That's great. Okay, so let's have a look first of all. Actually, let's read a Facebook comment because this young lady is quite brave as well, because she's also admitting that she has used someone in the past. Her name's Jenny, and she says, I have used a boyfriend before in the past. The guy was really interested in me, and I just wanted to have someone to help me forget my ex-boyfriend, and also used him to make my ex jealous in the hope that he would come back. How many people do that? The guy didn't know I was using him until eventually I got tired of pretending, and in the hope of putting him off me, I told him to his face my real intentions. He was so gutted, and later on I even felt bad because he didn't deserve that. So how many people go through that kind of situation just to get an ex back, and someone ends up getting used? Terrible.
Sure.
Okay, so let's have a look at some celebs as well that we've got here. Now, Lindsay Lohan, apparently, she filed a lawsuit against her clothing manufacturers who were selling her brand, having breached contracts, not paying royalties, and doing private labels on styles Lindsay designed. Now, apparently now she's owed up to $1 million. And we have also Uma Thurman. Now, her financial advisor, Kenneth Starr, took $1 million after being hired to handle various aspects of her finances. And then we have also Kim Kardashian. Now, this one, I don't know, I think she kind of set herself up for this one a little bit. She did a naked cover shoot with W Magazine, and she said she was very shocked when she saw that very little was hidden, especially as she was told she would be covered up with artwork. And she said, I feel so taken advantage of. I've definitely learned my lesson. I mean, I think you should check these kind of things really well first. I suppose if you're going to do a naked shoot, you have to kind of think of something's going wrong, right?
Well, you kind of are naked, aren't
Exactly. So I don't know about that one, if she was really used or if it happened on purpose. I don't know. Let's live up to imagination. Britney Spears, of course, as well. Now, her former manager and supposedly best friend was taken to court on the account of giving Britney drugs. Now, her parents want to get to the bottom of the case at what appears to be the worst time of her life, when this so-called friend and life coach used her like this, as he maintains, or someone who... Oh, okay. Yeah, so basically he was taking advantage of her and giving her drugs, and supposed to be her best friend and manager, and then he ended up just using her, probably just to be in the limelight, in the public scene. And then, of course, we have Paul McCartney, who's worth a whopping $1.2 billion, and after the divorce with Heather Mills was announced, she said, I'm absolutely going to take you to the cleaners, which she did. And as we all know, she got $50 million. So did she love him, or was she just using him all that time? What do you think? Put you on the spot a bit.
Well, can I say something about that? Because when the moment that I'll speak from because as Anton said, you know, I've used people as well. Yeah. I think most of us will have. The moment that I find myself using somebody is the moment that I fail to engage with what effect it has on the other person. So I sort of lose my empathy goes out of the way. And if I think about what really makes us human beings happy is when we have proper relationships. Yeah? And proper relationships are about engaging with the other person.
Yeah.
And I think the business examples that you're giving is very clear. This is not about caring about anybody else. It's only about me. And actually, if that's the way you lead your life, you're not going to get anywhere. And someday you will find out that actually you would want to have that sort of equal relationship with somebody else.
Do you know, actually, having both of you on here today and what you've said has really made me think, because to be honest, I was sort of thinking, I don't really use people. I'm not that type of person. And I was actually even had an example to give about a friend that I would say used to use me at uni, because she didn't have much money and I had a bit because my parents were supporting me at the time. So I always felt that she was using me to kind of pay for her to go out and stuff like that. But when you're actually speaking now, I thought, hang on a minute. Even though people don't like to admit that they use people, but we do often. Sometimes we don't even realise we're doing it. And now that you were speaking, I realised that I used her as well, because she used to know all the best club scenes at the time, and she used to have a lot of friends that she introduced me to. So in effect, I was doing the same thing. And sometimes we don't realise that we're doing it.
I think what's important in all this is it's kind of okay to be used, providing you and the other person are aware of that's what's happening. I mean, we all need to use other people in terms of business contacts, in terms of getting somewhere in life or whatever it might be. But if it's done in that sort of surreptitious, mischievous, manipulative way, then it becomes what it becomes, a negative. But if I phoned Hans up and said, can you introduce me to someone else, in effect I'm using him, but it's up front. It's sort of saying, I need you to help me with something, you know. And in that respect, it's okay. So, but I guess what we're doing in this discussion is using the word using people as a sort of negative, punishing,
but
sort
you know
of
what?
manipulative sort of thing.
I think it was good that you actually brought up the other side of things as well, because we always do see like using as a very negative thing, but then you do have the other side where we do need people, we need contacts and things like that, don't we? So
I think what is very a telltale is that, just to come back to the example that you're giving, if you had called me about 5, 6, 7 times before, and you kept asking me about contacts and I introduced you, and nothing ever came back, then there would be a point where I would start to feel resentment.
Yeah, sure.
And I think that's a telltale. As soon as you start to feel resentment, then I become aware of, actually, I've given something that I didn't want to give. Where did that start? And I think that's a good moment to sort of say, stop, pause. Sure. What is it I'm doing? What do I?
And in terms of asking favours, let's put it that way, the asker must be prepared to accept a no from the person he's asking the favour from. You know, that's really important, you know, because then you're at a level of understanding with each other.
Having mentioned that now, Anton, let's go to our first acting scene, because you're going to see something here characteristic that you just mentioned. So let's take a look at this.
Well, you know what, Chuck? You know that new club that's just opened down the road?
Oh, yeah?
Well, my brother managed to get us guests inside that club because he's going to be DJing tonight. Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm obviously tagging along with you and the gang because it has been a while, you know. It's been like, what, 2 years? So,
yeah.
Could you get me onto the guest list?
I'll have to ask him, but I'll let you know. You know, obviously I'll do everything I have to do because, you know, gang getting together and everything.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yes, I'll totally do that.
I'm looking forward to it.
Great.
Okay, so typical example there of a friend. So apparently they haven't seen each other for a couple of years, or they haven't gone out for a couple of years. And as soon as she says that she's got some tickets for, what was it, guys? Sorry, club? Club, okay.
A club.
a club. So now all of a sudden he's interested in going out. That common occurrence, do you think?
It's an intriguing one, isn't it? Because once you introduce something which is going to attract someone else, then in all probability you're going to attract an answer which is wanting to do what is being asked. You know, in so much that what's happened here is club, guy's doing the DJ. Of course the guy wants to be involved.
Yeah.
To me, that hasn't yet got to a sort of using stage just yet.
Guys,
perhaps.
make it using. Go on, show some examples that you're using her. Go on. Just put them on the spot now. This is a live show and they practice a little bit, but go on then.
Hey, look, basically, I was thinking of, you know, going out, seeing as we haven't gone, you know, anywhere in a long time, but, you know, I've only got time for today, so have you got anything, you know, that we can spice up the day? Is there anywhere we can go?
It's a bit short notice, don't you think?
Yeah, but come on, it's been a long time. Come on, let's go out tonight.
but
I'm
you
sure
know
you've
what?
got the hottest spots. Come on, you
I
always
do.
do. You always do.
My brother only got 2
Come
tickets.
on.
I mean, it would be like telling him not to go just for you. I can't believe
But I thought we were friends.
Yeah.
Now that boundary's crossed, doesn't it? I thought we were friends.
I thought we were friends, yeah.
So I get what you're saying, because I think she's at fault as well for, if she's only got 2 tickets to get into a place, why is she going and telling everyone? She was better off telling her friends afterwards, because of course they're going to want to go. So it's like she's kind of showing off in the first place to show that, yeah, I've got the tickets, I'm in with the crowd and stuff. But then of course him on the other hand, now he's kind of bribing her.
Yeah.
Well,
What
it's
do you
all
think?
about desire, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'd like to think about what the two parties, what their desire is, because desire is such a wonderful thing in life, isn't it? That drives a lot in us. So, what does he want from her? Does he want to spend the night? What does she want from him? Does she want him to be a friend? Does she want to be recognized? Does she want to be feeling that, you know, he's...
Maybe she's using him to boost her own confidence, possibly. See, I'm getting into this
Yeah,
stuff.
well, yeah. I mean, there's a sort of attempt here to be. How can I put it? There's an attempt to be in a sort of superposition, isn't there? You know, I've got, like you mentioned, I've got these. You know, what
And
are you
you
going to do
haven't.
about it?
Yeah.
And she's it's 2 exclusive tickets, which her brother she prefers to go along with, and all that sort of thing. So it's kind of a power thing, isn't it, going on?
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
with her.
But I think you're spot on. She wants to be wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Why does that? Let's have a look at how maybe she could have handled the situation.
So, did you manage to, you know, think of something, get me on the guest list?
Well, thing is, Chuck, you know, been buds and all of that.
Of course.
So I spoke to my brother. He just said there wasn't any space, but we can always do coffee, like, you know, tomorrow, or even right now we can go for coffee. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I've got something else to do, seeing as we can't go out tonight. But hey, maybe some other time.
Oh, okay.
So he was obviously using her, because now he's not interested in going for coffee.
Yeah.
If he wanted to go out with her in the first place, then he would have just taken that up, wouldn't he?
But you see, there's 2 disappointed people. Neither of them have gotten anything out of it.
Well, she got to go to the club, exclusive tickets.
But from the interaction,
Yeah.
neither of them have got anything out of it. In fact, by the look of it, I would think that they're both sort of sunk down a bit,
Yeah.
you know, or quite a lot. There's disappointment, there's a sort of negativity about the whole thing.
Okay, so we're going to go to a quick break because we've got some more acting scenes that we're going to show you, and we want to get your expert opinion on it as well. So join us after this.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, where we are speaking about being used. Now, have you been used by someone, or indeed have you been using someone yourself? So if you'd like to share your experience, you can email chris@chrissybshow.tv, and we're going to have some more acting scenes to see if you can identify any of that behaviour yourself, whether it's happened to you or whether you've actually inflicted that behaviour on somebody else. And I have my two expert counsellors with me tonight who are dissecting each scene and telling us what's going on, and giving us some help in that regards as well. So now we saw before the break an example of how friends use each other. Now, is that something that a common occurrence perhaps in people that come and talk to you, and how do they normally feel about it? Hans?
Okay, shall I start? I think most of the people that come to me in this sort of situation are the people that feel that they are being used, but they don't really know why it keeps happening over and over again. They don't understand it, and they feel stuck. And I think what it is about is then to find out what is the story that you are telling yourself. Mm-hmm. What am I telling myself when I notice that I'm being used? And very often that has to do with, I have to allow this because otherwise I won't get. Mm-hmm. So there's those two aspects to it, and very often what we think is acceptable of how we are being treated has to do with what life experience you have. Mm-hmm. If nobody's ever listened to you in your life, then would you expect a friend to listen to you? Would you expect a partner to listen to you? But at some point you do get to wonder, why is he or she not listening to me? Mm-hmm. Where am I in this? And that is where I think the counselling process is about. Okay, is there another way that I can look at the story, and how can I see what is acceptable for me as maybe actually that's not acceptable. Mm-hmm. But then there's often the fear that if I don't accept that, then I will lose. I will lose my friend. I will lose my partner.
It's funny how people all prefer to kind of let people take advantage of them rather than losing that person, because sometimes it's so obvious. Like in the case of a friend, for example, that's really is using you, say for money, or you can normally tell if a friend's using you, for example, if they never have anything good to say about you. They're always putting you down in front of other people. If for example you achieve something great and you want to tell your best friend, for example, and you go up to your friend and say, look, I just got this job, and they're not happy for you, they're jealous. I don't understand how a person sees all that and yet still allows themselves to be with that person, like they feel that they need that person in some way.
I think there are a number of different facets to the way people get involved in being used. Sometimes it's conditioning from a very, very early age, which puts people in an emotional state in which they feel they have to people please, to use a common expression. So they've spent their lives trying to please other people, and therefore they are being used, but maybe they don't realise they're being used.
But sometimes it's so obvious.
Well, yes, but that's the point. But sometimes it is obvious in the examples you've made in terms of, borrowing money, practical, physical things. Yeah. But if you get it to the emotional level, people do not often realise that they're being used or indeed using other people because of that sort of core conditioning and emotional state.
How can people get around that then? How can they actually see that they're being used and then put an end to it?
When things get very uncomfortable for them. If they have... Right. Serial breakdowns of relationships, or are constantly being compliant, being trodden over, being a doormat, if you like, and so on. And life gets so uncomfortable that they come to therapy or go into some sort
That's the word, isn't it? Because uncomfortable. Because if you're with people, say, just bring it back to friendships, if you're in a good friendship, you feel happy after you've been around that person. I remember being around certain so-called friends that, I don't know, if you know, like when you're with someone and then when you come away from that situation, you kind of feel bad, like you've done something wrong, or like you've spoken about things that maybe you shouldn't have. So you know that friendship is unhealthy. But when you're with a good kind of friend that's good for you, that respects you and everything, you come away feeling happy and you enjoy spending that time with that person.
But you see, that's why it's good to just pause for a moment when you realize that you come away from an evening with someone and you actually don't feel good. There must be a benefit to it as well, and the benefit keeps you there, and benefit keeps you going, and that sort of overrules the negative feeling that you have. So it is about finding out actually what sort of benefit am I getting out of it. And you know, we grow up with love songs like "I Can't Live Without You." Well, you know, if you can't live without somebody else, then you will never ever do anything that threatens that person from going away. Actually, if I believe that I can live without you, then you can be my friend and you can be my lover. Because I can be without you, but I want to be with you.
And you're not going to accept rubbish from that person, because if they treat you badly, then you've always got the option of...
But there's another aspect to that as well, is that very often when somebody does something which we find unacceptable, then we make the person unacceptable. I'm not going to be with you, you know, that is just your rubbish. Well, actually, maybe it was rubbish behavior, but I like you as a person, but don't come over to me when you're behaving like that. Right, come back.
So you can actually help the person through the way you react towards them when they do these kind of things as well. Okay, now let's take it to the relationship side of things, because I know a lot of our viewers are interested in love life and relationships. So let's take a look at this other scene.
Well, I've had a nice day today. It's you know, been very, very long, so I'm just gonna, you know, go home now.
Go home, but it's getting quite late, you know, and you do live quite far. Yeah. So I was thinking, why don't you spend the night? I know it's only been a week since we've gotten together, but come on, spend the night, you know? Boyfriend, girlfriend, come on. I know you spent the whole day, but why not spend the night?
I don't think I should. I mean, we've been stuck to you like glue for the whole day. I just want to sleep in my own bed.
I don't see what the problem is. 1 week, come on, if we really want to take this relationship further, then I think it's best that we start now. So why don't spend the night?
No, I don't think so.
Well, I know you don't think so, but I think so.
Yeah, but I don't know you too well, and a week's not really enough, so I'm just going to have to...
I think you should say.
Right. What's going on there?
Oh, this is a power game, isn't it? This is a power game. To me, that's a big illustration of non-acceptance. You know, if we're talking about relationships and love, one of the first things I believe is necessary is that the person's authentic self is respected by the other person. Yeah. And there's no respect being shown there at all. All the guy's interested in is his desire to have a bit of sex, you know, and there's nothing else going on there at all. You know.
Now it's interesting because he didn't raise his voice, he wasn't aggressive, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes people think, oh, you know, he's nice to me, or she's nice to me, they treat me nicely, they're not aggressive, they're not violent, but that sometimes is just as bad because it's manipulative at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, well, passive aggression is sometimes even more dangerous than the sort of overt temper and anger. But
I hope you guys at home are taking note of this, because if this is happening in your relationship or you know in situations that you're in, maybe you can get some advice while I counselling.
But this is exactly what we were talking about. You know, she doesn't want to lose him, and he's playing high stakes. You may lose me if we're not going to spend the night, and he's willing to take that risk. Okay. So if she's not afraid of losing him,
she's going to react differently. Let's see how she could react to this situation.
So, are you going to spend the night or not? Like I said, it's getting late and I don't really want to, you know, leave you to go home by yourself. So I think you should stay.
Take her
Well,
home then. Sorry.
A good boyfriend would actually escort me home, but you're not really doing that, are you? So I think I'll just find my own way home. Thanks. Don't call me later on.
I hope you broke up with him, Rihanna.
I did.
Oh, did you? Was that a breakup?
Yeah.
Powerful enough. I need to do, you know, more oomph. Like, all right. I won't get them to do it again. So obviously there, she's different, isn't she? She's not like, oh, playing around and stuff like that. She just got straight to the point. Don't call me again. I know now you're just using me or whatever. So that's probably where she should react.
Yeah, that's good.
Now, I suppose relationships are something that you get a lot of people coming to you about, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the major?
I think it's always about relationship. If you get down to the bottom of what the problem is, then it is always about relationships, because we human beings want to be with other human beings. We want to have an equal relationship, and we want to have an intimate relationship. And so all sorts of things that seem to happen in life, if you get down to the bottom, then it is about, can I actually have an equal relationship with this person?
Yeah. What do you think, Anton? Relationships are a sticky area.
Well, I mean, they are the single most important aspects of our lives, isn't it? I mean, there's the intimate one-to-one male-female relationship in all its facets, you know, including physical, spiritual, emotional, love, and all those sort of things. But of course there's all the other sorts of relationships as well, you know, that can be intimate but not necessarily obviously at a sexual level. What I witness a lot of the time is a considerable amount of what we call codependency, where two people are in a relationship of some sort. The codependency exists where one person, in fact both people, rely on each other to, in a way, make them feel okay about themselves, you know, and that might introduce compliance, power. So if you've got a compliant person codependent on a powerful person, the powerful person is going to continually make the compliant person compliant and treat as a doormat. So that's a form of codependency. And I get a lot of that with my clients. And what they present with when they come to counselling is they talk in terms of feeling stuck. That's something that Hans mentioned earlier on. They feel as though they're in a corner, they can't get out of it, they don't know how to respond to their partner, and they're lost. And through the process of uncovering that we do in therapy counselling, they begin to see that it's something which is deep inside them, that they have some neediness to be loved, to be liked, to be respected, and that's the only way they know how to get it, which is to be compliant, people-pleasing and so on. Which of course the powerful person, who needs to dominate because of his or her experiences, trades on that compliance. And that, I have to say, is one of the experiences I've had in some relationships.
Tell us, can you give us an example?
Yeah, I've been the dominant person taking advantage of somebody who's been emotionally dependent on me, and I've been the compliant when I felt that I cannot lose this woman for love and money. Sorry?
Which one was worse?
They're both as bad as each other, because they both make me feel uncomfortable, because they both, in retrospect, didn't allow me to be my authentic self. I couldn't be myself. I had to act in some way or another in order to satisfy whatever was going on with me and the other person.
Why would you say you were sort of maybe the dominant one and like use the other person? What was the reason? Because sometimes we always sort of focus on the person being used and the signs that they're being used, but what is it on the other side of things? Why does the person himself behave or herself behave that way?
I can't speak exactly for myself, because I was not conscious at the time that those behaviours were going on. It's only in retrospect, you know, in terms of me training as a counsellor and having to have therapy myself, that a lot of this stuff became uncovered.
Right.
And other work that I've done on myself in the addiction field. So it's only by getting retrospective knowledge that you suddenly sit back and you think, my goodness,
I did that.
I did that.
Thank goodness you
Well, yeah.
saw that then.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. Yeah. It's difficult though, because once you do know, then you've got to unravel yourself and work towards feelings of greater self-esteem, emotional stability, emotional maturity, and all those other things, which I certainly wasn't before I got wind of the fact that I was acting in this way.
Did you feel awful?
Well, no. I was shocked, I suppose, that because wanting to be a perfect human being, I was shocked that I had these frailties and these vulnerabilities and weaknesses. But once I realised that that could be the stepping stone to me becoming who I am now, which is a much more comfortable and okay guy with myself.
Very nice guy.
You know,
actually.
yeah, that's nice. You know, once I saw that was a target, so to speak, then it just made the process much easier. And I wanted to find out, and I wanted to experience past pain that I you know, through having an alcoholic mother and things like that. So, you know, it was.
But I think it's great that you know, when a person does actually see their mistakes and recognises things wrong inside of them and actually does something to change them, because many people don't like to face things that those inner demons that are there, and they're afraid to go there. They're afraid to sort of dig deep and find out what's going on. So it is painful and it's scary sometimes, and but it's such an achievement when you actually find something and then you work on that and change it as well. But we're just going to go to another break, because the breaks have come down very fast today. After this as well, we're going to be showing you another common occurrence in a lot of relationships, and maybe you'll be able to identify with this one. And also we're going to talk about work situations. Are you being used at work, and what can you do about it? Join us after this.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back, and if you've just joined us, we're talking about being used. So have you been used by anyone in the past, or are you being used at the moment, and maybe you don't realise it, because we're showing different acting scenes to see if you can identify with any of it. And we spoke about a relationship one just before the break. Let's see now another common occurrence in relationships.
Hey, basically, you know how Valentine's Day is coming up real soon. And I've kind of run low on cash. But, obviously, because I'm your boyfriend, you know, if you can spare me a bit of, you know, money so I can buy you a Valentine's Day gift as well as maybe something for myself.
Wait, let me just try and get this. I'm a bit confused. You want to use my money to buy me a gift?
Of course.
And then get something for yourself?
Yeah, it's going to be something special, trust me.
Right, because, I don't know.
Come on. Come on.
It just doesn't...
It's Valentine's. Come on, it's coming up. It's coming up.
Right.
Look, I'll pay you back.
Are you sure?
Of course,
but
come on.
Don't use too much. Well, obviously, don't get me something rubbish, but you know.
Of course, I'm going to get you something nice. Come on, it's me.
All right, then.
How could she? No! And yet, there are men and women that get used like this all the time. And I know people myself that have been used so much, and like everyone could sit and they couldn't, you know, being used for everything, being taken out, not paying for anything, and it's just a terrible situation that people just get stuck in. Why do you think that is? Hans?
Well, it just reminded me of an actor that I used to work with, and he really enjoyed the sort of work that I provided for him in schools, and he would, every now and then, he would just call me in the morning and say, sorry, can't do it today because I've got this acting job, and somehow the teaching staff, all of them, and this was an infant school, so it's all female, they were so charmed by him. One of them said, well, he could get away with murder. And it's something about that charming and making the other person feel good. You know, I'll buy you a really nice present. That's just sort of so soothing, you know, that if you don't recognize what you're falling for, then
Let's see another way that she could have reacted to this.
So, like I was saying, I'm running low on money and, you know, coming up to Valentine's Day, and I was wondering if you could spare me a bit of cash. You know, obviously, you know I'll pay you back, and hey, I'm going to get you something nice.
Oh, that's sweet. Considering the fact that you just borrowed money from me last week, you still haven't paid that back.
Okay.
And then you're cruising around in my car, bringing it back with no petrol, and
But you know my circumstance, though,
want
you
me
know.
to give you my card because I just don't see this going anywhere. I mean, you're always going to be borrowing, never paying it back. You've been looking for a job for 6 months. Do you know what? I really can't take this anymore. Give me back my car keys.
Yay! Am I cruel? Am I cruel?
No, I think you're just applauding a job well done.
Yes. I like her attitude.
The thing that comes across from that sketch is the part that fear plays in these sort of situations. One of our greatest fears, I believe, is the fear of loss and abandonment by another human being in whichever form that takes. The other factor of fear here is the guy who's would seem to be frightened of not being able to do something which is a traditional thing, like a Valentine's night out, coupled with some need that he needs to go cruising around in a car for some for self-esteem purposes or whatever. I mean, that's my take on it. It may not be anything like that, but you know, but fear plays a huge part in this whole used scenario, and is at the very sort of, what's the word for it, the very crux of so much human interaction. You know, and that's what came across on that one. She did well to, in the second,
did very well, very proud
time,
of her, definitely.
You know,
Don't let yourself get walked over, girls.
She can live without him.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But I think where you find real relationships, and this is about that giving and taking, you know, where that becomes irrelevant who is giving and who is taking, because you can do without one another. You want to give something and the other one is willing to accept, which is a gift as well. Because some people can't take compliments. Oh, don't do that. Actually, allowing somebody to give you something can be seen as a gift as well. And when you get involved in that sort of dance where it doesn't matter who's giving, who's taking, you know, but you enjoy the process, then you're equal. You're in an equal relationship.
Definitely. But let's look at some work examples as well, because we did promise our viewers. So let's take a look at the next one.
Hey boss, look, I was thinking, obviously we know how the business is going and it's going really well, but I've got an idea that will really bring some profit to the business, and here's the idea, and I think it's really going to generate some profit, it's going to make us money, and it's going to make this business boom. So I was thinking you should take a look at these ideas, see if we can put them forward, see if we can really make this happen. What do you think?
So it's going to do what? Increase sales? And
sales, profit, everything.
Oh, I see. That
what do you think?
Really looks good. Do you know what? I'm going to look through these.
Okay.
Why don't you run along, make me a cup of tea, and then remember I gave you the ticket for my dry cleaning.
Yeah.
You pick that up for me.
No problem,
and
boss.
then we'll, you know, talk about this in a bit. Yeah?
Okay, no problem. I'll do that.
Hi, Linda. Yes, I've got some fab ideas about increasing sales. I know. I'll email that right over. All right then. Bye.
Naughty boss. All right, let's see now what the other situation can be.
Look, boss, I know that you wanted me to get you a cup of tea, but I kind of overheard you speaking. But what I've already done was I sent an email forward to, you know, the HR, and they said that we're going to have a meeting, you and them. So with the business plans, whether you decide to go forward with it or not, we're going to have a meeting about it. So hopefully it's still going to make us some money.
So it's been sent?
Yeah.
With Linda attached?
Yeah.
That it's your idea?
Yeah.
Right.
Seen it so many times.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, obviously people do get used at work and sometimes they're afraid of saying anything because, okay, recession, they're afraid of losing their job, they have many responsibilities and bills, so they get stuck in cycles sometimes. So what are some of the signs, and what do you think can be done about it?
In the end, it goes back to leadership and the culture of the company. That's in my experience. Some managements feed on the divide and rule type principle, where something like that happens and people get set against each other. What I would regard as the more progressive and, let us say, humanistic companies thrive on the sort of imagination and innovation that people at any level in the staff can contribute ideas, and often do, and they're looked at and so on. But this pinching of other people's ideas happens throughout a corporate structure, and even in quite small companies where people take credit for something that somebody else has created. That again to me comes from people needing to be seen as good at what they do and being afraid of their own inadequacies, so that if an opportunity like that presents itself, they will use somebody else's imagination to overcome their inadequacies, or what they feel are inadequacies. They may not be inadequate at all, but they feel it. So they have this need to present themselves as being imaginative, creative, and all the rest of it. But it's a very, very commonplace thing, because we take this whole relationship experience that we've both been talking about from the minute we come out of the womb, and begin to practice those things out there in life, and it takes itself into the workplace, so that leaders, so-called, are often controllers rather than leaders, you know, and they can be autocratic and all that sort of thing. And it creates a whole culture whereby this and lots of other stuff like bullying and emotional abuse and all those sort of things come into the workplace. And actually in the long run does nobody any good whatsoever. And has actually, it's been proven, has a detrimental effect on profits. So, you know, it's a nonsense, but people don't know it is a nonsense.
So what can a person do then if they are faced with that situation and maybe they're afraid, or they just allow themselves maybe to be stepped all over? They know what's happening, they know maybe someone's stealing their ideas, or they're just being used at work basically. What could be done, do you think?
Well, there's quite a lot of things in this, in your question and in this little scene. I mean, again, we're talking about fear. Now, fear is the stopper, and that in itself is okay, because it makes you stop and think. If you then think, I haven't got any options, then think again, because there are always more options, except that some of the solutions are less attractive than the others. But as soon as you or I experience a freedom of choice, then already half the problem has gone, you know. And I remember when I was in my 20s and I came back from Morocco, and I was sitting next to a man who was about my age, and it was a wise man, and I was talking about freedom, you know, because it was 70s and all that sort of thing. And he said, you know, Hans, you know what freedom is? Freedom is a go-to-hell savings account with 3 months your salary in the account. Then you can just tell your boss to go to hell, and you will have 3 months, and you'll find something else. Okay,
but people are afraid to do that, aren't they? They Let's come back to the fear thing as well. But it does probably feel good if you get out of that situation.
That is the other. That is what am I telling myself when I say I can't leave this job because I will never find another job? What am I telling myself? True, is it? You know, am I not good enough? You know, am I incompetent in the job that I am doing? Do people not see that I contribute? So there's a whole internal conversation going on as well. And I mean, we're bombarded with all these self-improvement ideas. And we have to go on the next course to learn this, and to go on the next course and next course. So we need to improve the competencies. But actually, if you believe that you're not good enough, then however competent you are in a task, that won't change how you see yourself, your belief. So if you can then just change and think, okay, well, I think I'm not good enough. That is a thought that I have in my head. I also think that thought is true. But what if that isn't true?
You doubt.
Maybe I'm just good enough as I am. Of course, there's room for improvement, but I'm good enough as I am. How would that change the situation?
I think also the guy in the second little sketch illustrated something which is so important in the workplace, which is get things in writing, have witnesses whenever you can, you know, make sure that memos are taken of meetings and all this, so you can never ever, hopefully, be put in a position where someone is claiming something and you've got the pieces of paper that says, actually, that's not true. You know,
I definitely agree with
and
that.
That's real solid practical things. Very few people actually do it.
Because you don't, sometimes you kind of see things through rose-tinted glasses, as they say. You think everything's okay, that everyone loves one another in the workplace, and then everything's fine and no one's going to stab you in the back. But it does happen, and you do need to cover your back. But we have finished the show, unfortunately. We've run out of time. But just to leave it on that note, so if you are, as you were both saying, we need to have that confidence within ourselves, because if not, that's why these things happen. That's why, we're walked all over. That's why you get stuck in a job that you don't like, and things are wrong there and you're not being treated fairly, but people are afraid to actually go and try anything different. So first thing is, you need to work on your confidence. So if you are feeling like this, if you see it's a pattern that's recurring, maybe in your workplace, in relationships, in everything, get some help about that. You can go for counselling, you can talk to someone about that, get those issues sorted out, because what happens when we're in one situation, then we go to the next one, the same thing happens, that actually makes us feel even worse, doesn't it? And then we're in this cycle. So if you get that sorted out and believe in yourself, because we believe in you, that's why we're doing this show, right? Today, we believe in you, we know you can get through these things, and we know you can become much better within yourself as well. So if you want more information, you can visit our website, chrissybshow.tv. All our guests tonight will be on the website there under previous guests. And also, if you want to email me directly, you can do so on chris@chrissybshow.tv. So on Wednesday, we're going to be having a special Valentine's Day show. So make sure you don't miss that one. We're going to have couples on, we're going to have singles on, and lots of quizzes and great things on that show. So don't miss it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
And thank you for watching. And we'll see you again next time on the Chrissy B Show. Bye-bye for now. Today we're at the David French.
David what?
Today we're at. Music just came on. Okay, so what does that include, Joanna? What we're going to do today?
We'll be serving them some tea, cakes, and we're having Frank Sinatra. Sorry.
Today we're at the Dr. French.
Yes.
Sorry.